Hi there, this is Sam Brown from Paperstone Instruments, and today I'm going to walk you through the PSI Snare. The first thing to mention is really that the snare is all about one snare drum. It's not got any other instruments. This is just one snare drum, which has been incredibly it's sampled in incredible detail, and it's kind of like buying a snare drum. This is our favourite snare pictured on the left here, and it really has got a massive variation in tone from the very sort of low tunings going up higher, you know, right up to the high tunings there, with different sticks, using hands, using brushes, just using lots of variation and a huge amount of velocity levels, and that combined with having all those mics ready to go just makes it a very versatile instrument where you can get this snare and shape it right for your track and hopefully get exactly what you're after. So let's look a bit more at this patch. This is the PSI Snare All patch where all of the snares have been mapped. The other NKIs are just reduced versions of this, apart from the stretched version here, which is a bit more of a chromatic instrument. But this main setting here, if I just open a version of it without any local settings, we've got the mic section here, which is basically 5 different mic positions. Let's just have a listen to each of those and how they work together. The close mic is just a mono setting there. If we just also monos the under snare, so you've got top and bottom as you'd expect, and then you've got some stereo width coming in there from the overheads, and then just to enhance the room we've got some sort of wide space pair further back, and then we've got a tube mic, Telefunken, going into a 610 pre with just enough saturation that if you're after a slightly more driven sound, you've got that there. And this is somewhere between the close mics and the overheads in terms of distance as well, so you can really just position the snare exactly where you want it, and you've got a huge amount of variation in the tunings across all these notes. The instrument section allows further control of each hit, and it also really handily gives you a readout at the top here of exactly which hit you're on. So for example, you've got X high, which would be extra high snare with the snare off, or X high snare with the snare on there. So you can hear, or rather you can see what's going on as you play each note. You've got a fine tune here, a pan, and then a broad tune or transpose with the semitones, and even an octave selector there, which can be useful for making a dramatic pitch change. And there's also an attack and release, so any volume envelope changes you wish to make can happen either globally, as it's selected at the moment, so that will affect all the notes, or locally, where if you wanted just to get one hit and transpose it, you could do that and then tune them independently or of each other. And the same is true actually of the mic positions. If you want one of the hits to have no room on it, just pop it into global, take the room out, and if you want the other one to have a more defined room, if we just pop that into local, we could set it off for this hit and then have it on for this hit. And you can see it jumping around there, and indeed you could have different settings for any of the notes. So it's very, very adjustable for each snare hit. And if you want to start to control the sounds again as a group, just pop it back into global and you can control them all together again. So onto the filter section. We've got high pass and low pass filters, which you can control all the snare hits together if it's in global, or you could just pick the snare, the hit that you want to change, pop it into local, get the sound you're after, and then play away. So in terms of the effects section, you've got the 10 standard paper stone instruments regular options, but you've got a few more controls. You can thin it out with a high pass filter. You can make it bigger or smaller with the size, and a pre-delay to delay the start of the verb. So it gives you quite a few different options for a global effect. So yeah, that's the main features of the PSI Snare. If you want to find out more, please go to samplism.com, and thanks for watching. And the different choice of beaters. So yep, that's the overview of the PSI Marimba. This is available at samplism.com, and thanks for listening. Cheers.